The UK government say they will be looking into the growing problem of fake news on the internet. Articles and statements that possess little or no truth are published alongside genuine ones allegedly affecting political outcomes and the lives of public figures, and they are being seen and spread on social media. With more people relying on the internet for their facts, information and news, what effect can it have? Every time you open the papers at the moment, the latest word is fake news. Ever since Donald J. Trump emitted that phrase from his lips, talking about the fact that he thought CNN were up to no good, that word has become, well, the byline for news that is not entirely accurate but reported on a grand scale to the point of whereby some people actually believe it, despite the fact that the facts in it can neither be proved nor disproved, or they've actually been brought out for the sake of, well, upsetting or steering a course, as you were. As you could imagine. I've just literally conducted an interview with Sky TV. A guy called Joe Tidy came down to my neck of the woods and he wanted to interview me for my thoughts on the subject of fake news. Now, you may or may not know, some years ago I was the subject of an internet death rumour which was reported like news, and many celebrities at the time had also had death rumours levelled at them. A lot of them managed to shake them off with good humour. In my particular case, I didn't get the chance to do so, and well, for want of a better word, my life was temporarily wrecked, as was my career. I'm very pleased to say that I'm past that now, but I'm trying my best to draw a line underneath it. However, every time something like this happens on a world scale, for some reason, the nation's papers, and in some cases international organisations, do contact me with my thoughts on why people believe things that are not necessarily true. So there I am, I find myself in a pub with a guy called Joe Tidy, and we talk about what had happened to me. And it's quite interesting, really, because, you know, much as I talked to him about it, I've suddenly realised that with all my best will and efforts to put the whole thing behind me, it still affects me to this day. Not to the degree it did at the time, but it certainly did. And, you know, it's an interesting thing to take a look at. I decided I was going to film the interview today with Joe, who very kindly let me do it, so no doubt you'll see some parts of the report. I'm not sure how they're going to cut me together on Sky News, but I hope they do it in a way which is, one, very favourable, and two, it actually tells you my thoughts on the matter of fake news. The reason why I'm actually talking about it is because the government have appointed one of their members to actually look into the whole concept of fake news, because they're worried. They're absolutely worried, and it seems as though there are a lot of people who are now worried about the idea that news, not necessarily true news, or in some cases completely made up news, can now be reported on such a scale and distributed on such a scale that it needs addressing. So I'm very interested to find out what the government's findings are going to be. The only thing that I will say, and this is supposed to be an unbiased report, but I'm going to say it with a certain amount of bias, because in a strange way I had been affected. At the time we used to call them death rumours, but in the way it shared the same sort of platforms that fake news has, in the sense that it was published for public knowledge. It was information that could be, it was untrue information, it could be proven or disproved, so long as you looked into it. A lot of social networking organisations are now looking into this sort of thing simply because it could be on a scale where they are able to really mess about with the thoughts of people. Let's face it, something like this is not new. Fake news is a new term for a very old thing that's been around for a long time. You only have to look over history when certain things have actually come to light, certain secrets have come to light. People use things like, what was the phrase they used to use? Propaganda was one, misinformation was another, dissembling was another thing. It's been around for a long time. As long as there was somebody who would benefit from the way that the course of history would go, there has always been somebody who could do something. But in those days, it wasn't as well. It wasn't as sophisticated. There would have been loads and loads of people working on an idea to subvert history or to subvert a cause or a political thought or an agenda of some kind. So you imagine now we live in an age where we have these things here. This amazing gizmo in front of me, this laptop computer, and as Donald Trump had actually pointed out, all it would take is a spotty-faced boy in his bedroom with a laptop and an outrageous idea, and he could bring down a government. Now, this really sounds very far-fetched, but this is the kind of premise that fake news works upon, is the fact that somebody, one person or a group or what have you, can actually sit with their laptops and they can convince the minds and other people who are on the social networks with their computers and devices that what they're printing is absolutely accurate and factually correct. And then those people distribute it to other people who distribute it to other people, and the whole thing spreads. So it's an interesting thing. As a guy, all I ever wanted to do was entertain children. I never wanted to talk about stuff like this. I just wanted to entertain young children. They could worry about this when they are older. But all I wanted to do for the rest of my life until the day I died as a very, very old man was to just entertain children. I now find myself looking most days at how people are looking at the idea of fake news and what they're going to do about it. And I'd be very interested to find out what they're going to do about it. The first thing that I would suggest for somebody who's been through that is there needs to be in place a recognisable an easy process for people to use when that sort of thing happens. So that way, we know, for instance, if a crime is committed, the perpetrators are caught, there's a process they have to go through. They are, before sentence is passed, they are held. They then have to go to court. They have to prove, not disprove, that they have to go through. They have to go through the system before sentence is passed. That's what I'm trying to say. In this particular case, we all use the internet. Millions of people around the world use the internet, but I'm sure when things like that go wrong, and millions of people use the social networking systems, when things go wrong in that degree, there is no clear-cut way of dealing with it. When it happened to me back in 2009, I say that because apparently the information about my so-called passing was up there for about a year, up to 2 years beforehand, but it really affected us in 2009. But the one thing we did not have on our side was a recognisable body or a trail that we could follow, or a process that we could follow to say, excuse us, we're having a problem here. Can this be dealt with in a way that was recognisable? I would also like, if I may, to have a system, or I'd like to suggest actually, to have a system where people can be made accountable. It's all very well that people set up false email accounts and they go on and they can say what they like and then they can get out. But it would be wonderful to think that there was a way that everybody who used the internet could be made accountable, because at the end of the day, when you're doing this, when you're using your social platforms, what you're actually doing, you're printing up something for the public to take a look at. Effectively, you are a publisher, which is, it's pretty much it. It's, and it's part of the rules that as a publisher, that you are responsible for the words that you write. It doesn't matter how much in the way of public text on a blog, or if you're using Twitter, 120 characters or less, you are responsible for it. So I would like to see, if I may, a recognisable system that people can go to where they can say, look, excuse me, this is wrong and it should be taken down. And you know, everybody, the social networking platforms have to basically sort of fall in with it and apply. The problem that I see with that is that, let's face it, there are millions of people who use the internet. There are millions of people who use social networking. And it would be not only very hard to enforce, but also to police and maintain. And it's a real shame. It's one of these things. It's a fantastic invention, and for the most part, it is wonderful. It is a wonderful way to find out things about the world. And since the internet's been here and the social networks have been here, some amazing things have been done on behalf of mankind. But there's also been, for want of a better word, some very dark stuff that's happened. In my case, it was pretty light. All it did was it just messed up a few years of my career and my life and such. But it would be wonderful to know that there would be a system that you can put in place where that sort of thing doesn't happen, or if it does, it can be addressed very quickly, very speedily, and that way people don't have years of heartbreak. Right, I've said my bit. This was supposed to be a report. It's turned out to be me on a soapbox, so it's more of a speech. But yeah, there you go. Look, I promise that I won't do this sort of thing very often. As you know, doing reports, I'm a guy who likes entertaining, and I just wanted to be an entertainer till the day I died. And at the moment, I now find myself as a entertainer of fortune doing interesting jobs. And then the government are going to be looking into this very soon, this whole concept of fake news. So I will be looking at their findings with interest. Yeah. In the meantime, see ya. Well, in a very strange turn of events, it seems I am to take a trip into London to go to 5 news studios to talk to the minister who's been appointed to look into the whole concept of fake news, and to tell him how I've been affected by such things. So he's going to get to hear it from me on live television, and I get to talk to him about what he hopes to find out about fake news, which is very interesting. Very interesting. Very weird. Okay, so I've just arrived in London, Victoria Station to be precise. I'm going to try and get to the studios at 5 News, simply because I've been invited in to talk to the MP who's actually going to be looking into the concept of fake news. His name is Damien Collins. I'm really looking forward to meeting him, actually. So, yeah, here goes.
Your death was reported online, which, as we can see, was completely untrue.
Indeed it was, sir. At the time, though, we referred to it as death rumours, simply because there was a whole heap of celebrities who were targeted, and they had all sort of died under sort of various circumstances.
So what impact did it have on you?
Well, career-wise, it really knocked everything for six. There was no two ways about it. People did initially believe that I was dead. We then turned around and said, well, of course I'm not. I'm here. But by that point, the damage was done. Shows that I was working on were cancelled. There was a certain amount of embarrassment when people realised they were taken in, and that has a knock-on effect as well. And the other thing that happened to us was once they realised that they could come at me with fake news or death rumours or any kind of rumours, that other ones came in their place. Once we said, no, I'm not dead, other rumours came up, and yeah, some of them were quite horrible.
And it started quite a while ago. Do you know if it was started for any malicious reasons, or did it just sort of develop into something a bit more sinister?
Well, that's the unfortunate thing about this. We actually don't know why it happened. We don't know if it was malicious. We don't know if they just did it in fun and it was a prank that went very well. All I know is that it happened, it was wrongly reported, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm still working, thank goodness. But yeah, a lot of people believed it, a lot of people believed the news and the rumours, and yeah, it took sort of 8 years out of my life, really.
As I was travelling home on the train, my mind was awash with all sorts of thoughts. I'm pleased that I did the interviews with both Sky and 5 News. I'm also pleased that I got to say my piece and that I was listened to. I'm pleased that I got to talk to someone about it, and that my idea about putting in place a process of action recognised by all for fake news and internet hoax victims fell upon productive ears. I then found myself thinking about the years of suffering and uncertainty that Mrs. Phillips and I endured over the years, not knowing how to deal with an online prank, the scale that it went to, and the pain that it caused when everything literally stopped. I began to think about the anguish that it caused me, mentally, spiritually, financially. Then I found myself thinking about the people who did the death hoaxes. I wonder what they are making of this phenomenon that we now call fake news. I wonder if they're watching how it's all going, and if they're making notes or making suggestions as to what they would have done differently. I wonder if they ever talk about it to other people, or if they ever talk about the people whose lives they've affected, or the careers that they've altered or ruined. I think about what I would do if I ever met them. What would I say to them? How would I act? Then I think about all the other untrue rumours, apart from the death rumours that unhinged everything that I worked for. I think about the people who believed what they read and acted upon them without even questioning them, stopping me from working or being a patron of a charity or even being a part of a community project. Harmless prank gone wrong or right, depending on your point of view, or malicious intent. I guess I will never know. There is a fair chance that these persons or person unknown will never reveal themselves to me or to the other people whose lives they've affected. All I know is that I'm affected. Then I think about the task that's ahead of me. The rebuilding of everything. Work, finances, reputation, confidence. Which would be a difficult task to do were it not for the love and support of my friends, and also the extremely interesting jobs that people offer me to get me out of bed, challenge my brain, use my skills, and make me feel glad to be alive. And when it does come to the time for me to die, I hope that my death will be reported accurately and by reputable and trustworthy sources. In the meantime, know this: rumours will always be rumours. Fake news will always be fake news. And until proven otherwise, try not to believe in either.